Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. Thank you for taking time out of your day to check the video out. We have more PlayStation news, rumors, and leaks to go over and cover today. And we're starting here with a new PS5 system update. And a part of this system update seems to confirm something that we heard previously about the currently in development PlayStation Handheld. This is being reported by PlayStation Lifestyle. Sony has announced that the next PS5 system software update will bring two major features, one of which is available today. As previously announced, players will now be able to pair their DualSense controllers to multiple devices at once. The DualSense pairing feature will initially launch in a system software beta on Thursday, July 24th. Here's how beta participants can test the feature. Number 1, make sure that the light bar and player indicator on your controller is off. If they're turned on, press and hold the PS button until they're off. Number 2, press and hold one of the action buttons, triangle, circle, cross, or square, and the PS button for over 5 seconds. The light bar and player indicator flashes 2 times. 3, turn on Bluetooth on your device and select the option to add Bluetooth devices. Your device detects nearby Bluetooth devices. And 4, select your controller from the detected devices. The light bar lights up and the player indicator's light blinks according to the slot number. Before following the steps above, make sure your controller isn't connected via a USB cable. Players will be able to seamlessly switch between paired devices by pressing the PS button and then pressing the corresponding action button for each paired device. As for the second major feature, Sony has said in the near future it'll be activating a new setting called Power Saver. This feature will allow supported PS5 games to scale back performance and reduce PS5's power consumption. Power Saver is an entirely optional feature that requires developer support as well as manual enabling by players. In other words, not all games will support Power Saver mode because it will disable VR and limit some gameplay features. Now, they continue here by saying, with this new update, it seems to confirm the PlayStation Handheld rumor, and this is basically what they're calling a quiet confirmation. In April, known AMD leaker Kepler L2 said that the handheld's performance is expected to be somewhere between an Xbox Series S and PS5, and it will be able to run current-gen games on lower resolutions and frame rates due to lower memory bandwidth. Last month, another known leaker, Moore's Law is Dead, on YouTube claimed the PS5 and PS5 Pro will be getting a low power mode that would enable the consoles to draw less power and lower energy consumption while running games. Moore's Law is Dead speculated that this mode is a precursor to the rumored handheld. And so, as you can see, Moore's Law is Dead was correct, and Sony did announce this new power saving mode. It's worth noting that Moore's Law is Dead did make it known that this would be something developers would have to support. It is optional. That is something that has also been confirmed. So this does seem to quietly confirm that a PlayStation handheld, a more proper PlayStation handheld, one that doesn't rely on streaming, is in development. The last thing I want to say here before moving on to the next topic is the fact that this low power mode requires developers to essentially opt into it and patch their games to support it. This indicates to me that whenever Sony rolls out this new PlayStation handheld, it's not going to be treated like, let's say, the Xbox Series S, where the developer is essentially required to support it in order to release their game on the Xbox Series X. That seems to be something Sony is not opting into, which I think is very smart. I think this PlayStation handheld can thrive by allowing developers to opt in and choose for themselves, right? You don't want to hamper game development, especially for your primary home console like the PS5, the Pro, and the upcoming PS6 by having this lower end handheld. But if a game can run on it and it just needs maybe a small patch to support this low power mode, then yeah, if you're a developer, why wouldn't you do it? I think it's a very smart way to go about it. But we're going to move to the next topic here, which talks about Sony making an investment in Elden Ring publisher Bandai Namco. They sign a strategic partnership. This is being reported by Push Square. They say here Sony has announced it's investing 68 billion yen, or $464 million, into Elden Ring publisher Bandai Namco, which will see it acquire 2.5% of the overall business. As a result of the investment, The two companies have signed a strategic partnership that will see them collaborate on expanding the fan community for IP such as anime and manga around the world, and work on new and emotionally moving experiences for fans as a result of these efforts to maximize the value of IP. Now, it says here in the past couple of years, Sony has also invested in the company that owns Dark Souls and Armored Core developer From Software, known as Kadokawa. This saw the two firms also sign an alliance to, again, maximize IP. While Bandai Namco doesn't own From Software, the company has published its games for generations now. More recently, Sony has allowed Bandai Namco to re-release classic PlayStation titles like Freedom Wars and Patapon onto PS5 and PS4 and other consoles, such as the Nintendo Switch. Bandai Namco is also working on Everybody's Golf, Hot Shots for PS5 and the Switch 1. Sony's chief strategy officer said that this is to co-create an array of content and experiences that exceed expectations and deliver condo or emotion to even more fans. The Sony executive believes combining the two firms' efforts will further accelerate our efforts to maximize IP value and realize Sony's long-term vision, create entertainment vision. On the Bandai Namco end, the executive vice president said it's filled with excitement about the potential to create new entertainment by combining Sony Group's strengths and technological capabilities across various entertainment fields with Bandai Namco's IP access strategy. So we're seeing Sony once again make a strategic investment in a very big publisher, and this one is actually not surprising at all because, yeah, we've been seeing Sony get very comfortable with Bandai Namco to the point where they're even licensing some of their IP out to this publisher and allowing them to even release some of these games on other platforms like the Switch. So it does make sense that they're going to deepen this partnership and collaboration. I can't help but wonder what this means for IP such as Elden Ring, as well as Dark Souls. These are games that have been published by Bandai Namco, and as we know, Dark Souls was born from Demon Souls. In fact, Dark Souls was supposed to be Demon Souls 2, but Sony kind of dropped the ball on that. And as we can see, that eventually evolved into Elden Ring, and we see how big both Elden Ring and the Dark Souls properties are now. So I just can't help but wonder how much of this is Sony still trying to be very close to these types of games and these IP, and also From Software. But we're going to move on to the next topic, which is talking about Death Stranding 2 on the beach sales. We are getting a little bit more data here, and it's looking pretty good for the game overall. So when it comes to June 2025's top 10 best-selling games on PlayStation platforms, this includes physical and full game digital from digital data sharing publishers and the digital leader panel. Ranked on dollar sales, Death Stranding 1 on the beach was number 1. And it's worth noting that number 4, we're looking at Forza Horizon 5. We're going to talk about that in just a minute because we have some, I think, frankly, shocking news. But yeah, when it comes to the top 10 best-selling games of June overall, unfortunately, Death Stranding 2 on the beach did take the number 2 spot, although I think it's understandable why. Elden Ring Night Rain sold more than Death Stranding 2. It's worth noting that Elden Ring Night Rain launched on May 30th, so it was at the very end of May, and it had all of June to rack up those sales, to whereas Death Stranding 2 launched at the tail end of June on June 24th for early access anyway. But either way, it does seem like, generally speaking, Death Stranding 2 on the beach is doing pretty well. We haven't gotten official sales numbers from Sony or Kojima Productions yet. And, frankly, I'm hoping that at the very least it breaks even and hopefully can make a profit, because Death Stranding 2 is an incredible game and I think it deserves it. But moving on to the next topic, this is quite a shocker. It seems, based on this data, and we do have to take it with a grain of salt because we don't know how they gather this data, Xbox's port of Forza Horizon 5 is PS5's best-selling game of 2025. This is being reported by Push Square. They say the success of the PS5 port of Forza Horizon 5 is well documented by this point, but a new sales update for the open-world racer claims it's selling so well that it has now become the console's best-selling new game of 2025 so far. This is according to data from Alinea Analytics. The racing title surpassed 3 million sales on PS5 alone last week, following its launch in April. This makes it the best-selling new release on the console for 2025, according to the site, as it tops the 2.9 million sales for Monster Hunter Wilds. Alinea Analytics states that the recent PS Store sales have helped Forza Horizon 5 achieve this milestone, where it received a 25% discount. The game is on sale now on the PlayStation Store until July 30th, and so the numbers we're looking at are number 1, Forza Horizon 5, 3 million units. Number 2, Monster Hunter Wilds, 2.9 million units. Number 3, Assassin's Creed Shadows at 2 million units. Number 4, Elden Ring Night Reign at 1.4 million units. And number 5, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 at 1 point games. Even though this game is like 4 years old at this point, I can't say it's that shocking. It's a very well-made game. It's a very good game. And I think at the end of the day, if this confirms that Microsoft is going to be launching Forza Horizon 6 day one on PS5 because it's clearly going to do massive numbers. But continuing to talk about Microsoft, we have a very significant update regarding their pricing for their first-party titles. It seems as though they are walking back their decision to charge $80, and they are going back to the $70 price point. Once again, being reported by Push Square, Microsoft was the first publisher to bullishly follow in Nintendo's footsteps and announce an increase to $80 for its upcoming games. But with The Outer Worlds 2 caught up in the controversy and its pre-order numbers quite evidently in the toilet, the publisher has backtracked, revealing plans to reduce the price of Obsidian's upcoming RPG and all other holiday games. Here's what a spokesperson from Microsoft said, quote, "We're focused on bringing players incredible worlds to explore, and will keep our full-priced holiday releases, including The Outer Worlds 2, at $70 in line with current market conditions. That means that the upcoming sequel, Call of Duty Black Ops 7, will now cost $70 as well, opposed to the $80. So it is worth noting that as of right now, Nintendo is walking this path alone with Mario Kart. However, by the time this video goes out, there is a chance we could find out that Battlefield 6, which is being published by EA, is also going to cost $80. There was a rumor claiming that that's how much it's going to be, so I guess we'll find out because that reveal is happening today. But yes, this is, I would say, a little bit of a surprise. It does absolutely indicate that people were not pre-ordering The Outer Worlds 2, and it was actually looking so bad, apparently, that Microsoft was like, you know what, on second thought, we're going to go back to $70. I think this is a W for Microsoft, and I hope it continues going into 2026 and beyond. That would actually be very good because it would de-incentivize Sony to want to go up to that $80 price point. And man, I sure am glad that Sony decided not to do that, because imagine how it would look if Sony did say, oh, you know what, Ghost of Yotei is going to be $80, and then Microsoft is like, hey, we're going back to $70. Granted, we can't really compare these titles. I think one of the bigger problems with The Outer Worlds 2 specifically is a lot of people look at this game and they're just like, no offense, but this is not worth $80, right? Like, this is not the first game that you can come out with and say this is $80. The last thing I want to say here is the most shocking part about this to me is the fact that they're applying this to Call of Duty Black Ops 7 as well. I thought for sure, even if they dropped the price of The Outer Worlds 2 back to $70, Black Ops 7 would be $80 flat out. So because they're not doing that, I got to give Microsoft some credit here. This is a good decision. I hope that they stick to the $70. I hope more publishers stick to $70. I hope that at the end of the day, Nintendo is simply the outlier here. And yeah, I don't think anybody would be opposed to that outcome. But guys, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative. If you did, be sure to leave it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.